Is the statement we are gods being prideful and arrogant? So often in the conscious community, we hear people shout the idea that we are gods. That seems really arrogant and prideful. And that's a no-no for anybody raised with Christian beliefs. That's enough to get you sent to hell with gasoline draws on. But the truth is, it is ancient African philosophy and upon analysis, very logical. I'm going to teach you the science behind the idea so that you understand it to the depth of your soul and not just words that you mouth with no knowledge. Say it to yourself. I am God, goddess. Does it make you feel kind of queasy to make that statement? Be honest. If it is, it's because the Christian conditioning and their idea of God is ingrained in you. You are mentally still Christian. The Christian view of God is truly one based in ignorance of the African science that the idea originated from. Why is it even important to understand the difference? Because the Christian view of God keeps believers around the world in mental bondage and poverty. Case in point, over 400 million believers of the African diaspora worldwide live in poverty. 400 million! Is this just coincidence? No, it's one of the underlying symptoms of not understanding that they are gods and having confidence in their self and their abilities to create. The major difference between the Christian religion and the Kemetic spiritual system is the idea of having a relationship to God rather than recognizing your own divinity. If you have a relationship to God like Christianity teaches, then saying I am a god or goddess is prideful because you are saying you are equal to the superhuman-like being that you worship. Christianity teaches pride as one of the 7 deadly sins. Now, it's not even biblical. They just inserted the doctrine for what amounts to mind control. But the very logical way the ancient Africans thought was that a human being is the ultimate expression and extension of all the elements that make up the universe. They call these natural components netter. Every component that makes up the universe is part of you. From the African perspective, you are netter or nature expressed as a human being, just like a tree is, or a river, a bird, an insect, or the sun. All of these are natural expressions of nature. Is it prideful to consider yourself a part of nature? Of course not. The African proverb, know thyself and you will know the netters, is profound. From that perspective, it's not being prideful. It's an understanding of your place in the universe and how you fit in it. Most indigenous cultures have the same belief about where nature fits with God. It's why they were so respectful of nature. When you know how to access the netters within, you become a powerful aspect of creation and a creator of your own life. You will have the ability to become superhuman. You are netter. Every aspect of nature is in you. Our modern idea of God is a misapplication of the African scientific understanding of the workings of the universe. It's a misapplication of African spirituality and science. Why is understanding yourself as netter as opposed to God important? Because you then have a foundation of building confidence in who you are rather than trying to placate that big, angry, jealous psychotic in the sky, hoping you can gain favor from him. Yes, I said psychotic. I know that sounds disrespectful, but the truth is when you describe all the ideas that people have of this human-like God, angry, jealous, vengeful, merciful, loving, etc., he sounds psychotic. As Christians, we were taught to accept ideas of being broken, unworthy, nothing compared to God, and in need of a savior because of our sinful condition. But in reality, you don't have to compare yourself to God because you are God expressed as human form. Let me express this in an analogy, the logical way ancient Africans viewed themselves in relation to God. This thought process enabled them to build pyramids that cannot be equaled in modern times, so there has to be something to it. In the ancient African way of thinking, God is an ocean. You are a drop in that ocean. The only difference between the drop and the ocean is the magnitude. Just like the drop in the ocean, the only difference between you and God is the magnitude, not the substance. That's the ancient African way of thinking. It's a logical progression. That makes sense, doesn't it? I hope so. With the Christian way of thinking, the drop in the ocean is somehow different from the ocean. You know yourself that's absurd. It's time to stop praying to God and recognize yourself as netter and creator. In this way, you access the God within you. Those who cultivate a relationship to God will remain in poverty because your self-confidence will always be under attack with ideas of being broken and unworthy. You will have that Christian conflict going on in your mind. You are netter, human form. It's not prideful to recognize this. It's prudent in today's world. That's the ancient African spiritual science way.